Welcome to Rauta's Reviews. This time it's the first video from the renovated office slash man cave. As you can see, those shelves are pretty goddamn empty. Haven't had yet the time to do that. But now that the office is running and all set up for Technic anyway, it's time to do the very first review after my vacation. Actually, technically speaking, still on vacation. Now, ramblings aside, this time we'll go to Finland with a thrash metal relic. This one is Defier. This is as old school as it gets. This is going back to 1980s when Finnish thrash metal scene was very young, kind of in the toddler phase, and there was not too much happening, but there were bands that were just, gathering their tools and skill sets and members and, well, trying to make some music. Now, Finnish thrash metal scene never made very big. Basically, the only one that actually got some international success, and even that didn't go too well. I mean, we're not talking about the big four German thrash metal stuff. Is the band called Stone. Apart from that, most of these bands, well, they did only demos and stuff. Some did a couple of albums, but basically no bigger success was ever achieved. And a lot of those bands just quit before they could have actually achieved that stuff. Now, there are some exceptions, of course, but like I said, basically Stone is the only one. But that doesn't mean that these bands didn't have something, like potential, skill, and all that stuff. I guess what went wrong in so many ways was that thrash metal was pretty much a goner by the time these Finnish bands came to be. And also, Finland is not exactly, or wasn't exactly the place where things would go big in terms of, just conquering the world with metal music. But there are some gems, hidden ones, that I guess need to be talked about, and one of them is Defier. This one started, like I said, early or late 80s, but made big stuff in early 90s, and nothing much really didn't happen throughout these roughly 5 years of the band's existence. Here in Metal Archive site, you can pretty much see the whole thing summed up. What started in 1989, ended up by 1994, and there was only EP and a couple of demos. Basically, all you need to get your engines going and, start conquering the world with first album and all. But for some reason, that didn't happen. Now, I'm not gonna go into pondering or going into theories like what could have been done otherwise or what should have been made or blah blah, because, well, let's be honest about it. Young guys having their first bands and stuff, sometimes, most times, I guess, things go south and these don't end up becoming like Norwegian black metal band success. You start with demos and just keep banging your head against the wall and eventually you kind of break big. Well, relatively speaking. Anyway, Defier still had quite a lot of fire in their engines, and I think they had some really cool things going on. Now, if there was a band I would definitely mostly like to compare this compilation that includes pretty much everything they had, I would say this is Injustice for All era Metallica. The thing here is, they had the kind of riffs where they were nodding to the same direction, and I guess that must have been the main influence for them anyway. And there are parts which are like really good. There are riffs which are like really killer material. So Stone and Metallica, I guess, would be those two parts or bands I would definitely likely compare this to. Now, there are parts also where the band is very, very lukewarm and nothing really good isn't happening. But then again, you have to understand this is about demo material and EP and all that stuff, so you really can't expect a good debut album quality for obvious reasons. Still, nonetheless, I think the overall production is pretty good given the time, and this band not being on a big label and doing a big budget debut album and all that. And the vocals, while they are definitely, still in their early phases and kind of remind me of early debut albums by those classic bands, I think there's a lot of things that, are likable, and these could have been improved into a whole different level with the span of 2-3 albums. So it's kind of a shame that before Defier actually, became the man it could have been, it all went south and call it a day. Now this compilation here, with about 45 minutes of music or something like that, is actually a good way to give a little bit of insight what was going on back in the days in Finland and thrash metal scene. In my opinion, this is one of the better ones that existed back in the days, were there to do their music and all that stuff. Now obviously it's not for people who want very polished or high produced thrash metal stuff, not to mention other styles. This is pure thrash metal with hints of speed and heavy metal and all that stuff. You kind of get the idea if you know what I'm talking about, like back in the 80s and early 90s and all that stuff. But yeah, there is something really, really nice with this one. Good groove, rather nice production, good vocals, and some really killer riffs among the lukewarm ones. So definitely worth giving a shot, even if not greatest stuff ever. So here to go. This was released late May by Bestial Burst, so it's very much available. Take a look, take a listen, and I hope you enjoy it. You will find links provided in the description box. Meanwhile, take care and see you soon. More reviews coming your way.